Well, let's now go back to Diepsloot, where an uneasy calm has been restored after protest against the rising crime rate in the area. Our reporter Chriselda Lewis is there, and we cross back to her. Very good morning to you, Chriselda. Just a short while ago, we played a clip of the widow of the man who was killed in a mob attack last night. A very, very heartbreaking story, I must say. So what have you heard with regards to that, and where is the man's body right now?
Simpiwe, this community is still in shock this morning as Nomsa Chuma, who is the widow of the deceased, has been visited by several members of the community who are in shock over the passing of her husband in the early hours of this morning, I understand. We'll just show you here. I'm standing right in front of where it's understood Elvis Nyati, who is the late husband of Sis Nomsa. He had basically been in here watching television with his wife, and it's understood a mob had arrived here demanding to see their passports. He'd been dragged from here, we understand, to the point which we'd shown our viewers much earlier on, where it's believed he was pelted with stones and he was a satellite. If you take a look here, and we must apologize to our viewers, Simpiwe, for the visuals that we're about to show. Very difficult to tell the story without showing you exactly what possibly might have happened. Take a look here. I think that's some of the blood that was here. We're not going to be too long on what you're seeing here, because there are several insensitivities to what had taken place here, is what we understand. And we now know that there's also someone else who's also been injured and has been taken to the Helen Joseph Hospital. We'll try to speak to the uncle of one of the injured as well in just a few moments. He was a bit, uneasy a bit earlier on when we spoke to him, understandably so, because many of the community members here really don't want to speak to the media. We were very lucky earlier on when we spoke to our sister program Morning Live, when some of the community members who came out when they heard loud bangs and loud screams as the mob was pelting Elvis with stones, Elvis Nyati with stones, and then subsequently setting him alight. You'll see here several members of the community. I'll ask my colleague to move towards this direction. Several members of the community have come here to the home of the late Elvis, very distraught over what has taken place. And I can certainly tell you that over the past half hour, police from the local police station were also here. The station commander for the Diepsloot police station was here. He managed to speak to some of the witnesses, I understand. We obviously cannot film that, not to jeopardize the investigation of the South African Police Service. So this is exactly where that mob is believed to have come through, demanding, and according to Elvis's wife, indicating that they also asked for 300 rand and asked for a gun. And when Elvis's wife had informed them that there was no gun in the house, they referred to certain items which were inside their home, and Elvis's wife indicated that those were items that were given to her by her employer. And she said she went as far as saying she would telephone the employer to give an account of or to basically agree with what she was saying about where she got the items from. So basically that also were trying to accuse them of stealing some of the items in their house, which she says simply was not true. So I did indicate that Elvis Nyati is the man who has been identified as Zimbabwean, who was pelted with stones and satellite. He has now passed on. I understand there's also someone else who has been taken to one of the hospitals here in Johannesburg who is injured, and I'm hoping that I will be able to, at this particular point, speak to Ubabu Andrew. Ubabu Andrew, if I can just speak vernacular at this point, Ubabu Andrew is not a witness in this particular aspect. He is not a witness. He does not know what had taken place, but I do understand that his nephew is the one who is in hospital at this stage. Babu Andrew, asizanga apha namhlanje ukuthi ufakaze, sizwile nje ukuthi umshana wakho usesibhedlela manje wonzakele, kwenzeke ntoni kuye?
Bamshayela abantu ebusuku.
Ebehamba no Babu Elvis lo ngasekho?
kusho ukuthi bahlala bonke la ejaradini kusho ukuthi basuke lapha kufika la abantu abashaya baphuma babaleka bona babanjwa bebaleka.
Ke goku njengefamily nizizwa kanjani njengoba sekunjena ngoku ninethemba nani lokuthi umshana wakho naye uzophuma kulento usepholile?
Mina ngeke ngisho ukuthi nginethemba ngoba bamshaya ngakhona angikaboni nami bekusebusuku bengingekho futhi ngibona amanxeba efoneni nje ukuthi bamshaya kakhulu njengoba nalaba baleke wafika khona bathi ube serious.
Ibe ubani igama lakhe kanene?
Marvelous.
Marvelous. Siyabonga kakhulu Babu Andrew. So Babu Andrew Simpiwe is the uncle of one of the men we understand is currently in hospital. When I ask him, does he know what the condition of his nephew Marvelous is, he says that they're only hoping for the best in this instance, simply because, as he describes, Marvelous has been severely beaten up. So that is one of the gentlemen then who is in hospital at this particular stage. So the only information that we have at this stage, we are currently at the home of Elvis Nyati, who we now understand is the name of the man who was killed by that mob yesterday, allegedly. And a bit earlier on, we showed you where he had been set alight. More, I guess, family members or community members this way. Very emotional at this particular stage. Very emotional. Simpiwe, I can only but imagine that to be one of the family members who is just arriving to hear about this terrible news. We'll certainly try to find out straight after this, but those are the devastating scenes that we're seeing here in Diepsloot today. At 6 o'clock this morning, many of the mothers from around this area, bringing sugar water. You would know sugar water would obviously try to assist with the shock and try to calm down those who have been left bereaved in this situation. Those are the scenes that we're seeing here at the home of Elvis Nyati, who is the deceased, who was, we understand, met his death in the early hours of this morning. It is right here in this passage where he was dragged from by that mob that was demanding passports, and that's according to the account that we're hearing from several of the eyewitnesses here. Some of what you might not even see behind me at this stage, community members drying their eyes, concerned about the state of affairs in that what had transpired as a protest, where there were individuals saying that foreign nationals are responsible for the escalating crime in this area, seemingly now has led to the death of one person. A lot of emotional people here this morning, and I don't want to take you too close to where we are, but I'll ask my colleague Thabiso Paki. I've been saying since this morning one of the difficulties of doing this job, but very difficult, but unable to do it without showing you exactly what is taking place here. Many of the community members in shock, and going to ask my colleague, I think devastating scenes here in Diepsloot. Family members trying to console the wife of Elvis Nyati. More family members have come here. I think I'm going to ask my colleague Thabiso Paki to move with me this way. I think Simpiwe, because the matter is still extremely fresh at this point, we're just going to move away from there at this stage, and police have already been here, as I indicated, here to speak to several of the witnesses. We've not been recording that. We know in no way want to be seen to be jeopardizing the investigation into this particular matter. But I think great concerns at this particular point, while there are legitimate concerns by those who are concerned about crime in their areas, and they believe who may be behind this, but a lack of police presence as well, I understand, in this particular matter, something that the police minister had conceded to, about there not being enough resource at places like the Diepsloot police station. Mama, you can go through this way. Ungaya, Mama, we're just trying to direct one of the other family members to go through so that we don't impede on them trying to pay their condolences here in Diepsloot. So the concern is that when the police minister, General Begicele, arrives here in Diepsloot tomorrow, recall when he arrived here yesterday, he made some promises to the community of Diepsloot, and he's expected to return here tomorrow to this particular area to address some of these underlying concerns raised by the communities, that crime in Diepsloot is completely out of control. In fact, this is not the first time that I'm in Diepsloot covering matters of concerns of communities here. The crying just gets louder here. Simpiwe. It just gets louder here in Diepsloot, and I think I'm going to let you go in just a moment, and we'll try to bring you the latest here from Diepsloot as family members arrive here. It's incredibly sad. If you look towards that direction, I'm going to ask my colleague Tabiso Paki once again. Family members are completely beside themselves. Tabiso, if you could just come back this way, and these are live pictures from Diepsloot. Of course, following the breaking news that we brought you this morning, that one person has been killed overnight by a mob, and we understand from police at this stage that no arrests have been made.